thanks for coming in today and telling us a little bit more about the NFPA 70E standards that have changed for 2018. In fact, they've gone into effect, if I'm correct, October 1st.
October 1st, 2017, they were published, and they will be in effect as we speak, yes.
Okay. So basically what I wanted to do is just bring you in today so that we could just go over a few of those changes that are bigger changes, discuss those a little bit, and then I also want to discuss what we have going on in regards to a training class coming up to cover all this information over a day's worth of training. Tell me a little bit about your company, what you guys do, what you specialize in, and then we can get into those changes.
Sure, be happy to. I'm Joseph O'Dwyer of O'Dwyer Technical Services, and what we do is training and consulting specifically in the high voltage power industry in regards to various industries, but what our main goal is to help our clients manage their risk in regards to the electrical safety of not only their workers, but also their infrastructure and their equipment as well.
And with these changes in the 2018 addendums?
No, just the new standards.
New standards. And those standards come out, what, every 3 years by law. And so what happens is when they're published, they're vetted very well and by industry professionals. And what we're trying to do is streamline and make the effectiveness easier for the qualified electrical worker, as well as the environmental health and safety staff to manage the equipment, the policies, the infrastructure to help support their staff. Okay, so basically making the standard easier to implement and more efficient. Very good. What would be 4 or 5 of the key things that our clients need to know about that they're probably not aware of even? Okay, sure. Well, by law, it is required that all qualified electrical workers have at least training every 3 years. So that is a standard that has to be implemented and adhered to, strictly for the cognizant awareness of the worker and what his surroundings are. And as new equipment changes and new systems come out, they need to be aware of that. Some of the things that we talk about are responsibilities, and one of the things that we address in the standards is the employee responsibilities, the employer responsibilities, and in addition to that, we also address the contractor responsibility. Specifically, a new one is that contractors are required to have their own formal documentation of safety training. They're required to have their own formal electrical safety policy. So it requires the due diligence of the staff of where these contractors are working to ensure that these workers have the appropriate training, they have the appropriate equipment, because you're only as strong as your weakest link. Gotcha. So it sounds like what they're doing is they're making everyone involved more accountable and not just putting it all on the shoulders of the parent company or just the contractor. Yes. Gotcha. And that's the thing. We have to be a team. Right. You have to succeed as a team, because my goal is for everybody to go home at the end of the day. Right. And that should be the goal. And then good things come from having policies and procedures and training in place that help mitigate the exposure to an electrical accident. One of the newest issues that was brought up is the hazard elimination is now the priority. So it's not just to say that, it's feasible to work around a hazard. Now the emphasis is on the worker to remove the hazard. And that is the goal. And there are factors in there that we would address in training of how to do that and why we're doing that. But that is one of the major focuses of the new standard, is to eliminate the hazard. What would be an example of a hazard that they should be eliminating that they aren't right now? Working on an energized system when it's not warranted due to expediency or a shortcut or efficiency, things like that. Making sure that you have the appropriate PPE on site. We want to ensure that the people are properly dressed. And in addition to that is proper planning can help remove the hazard. Right. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. It's not just one bullet, but there's a lot of factors. So would it be fair to say that you're trying to engineer out the risks as much as possible before you implement other
necessary steps.
stages?
Yes, exactly. Our goal is to have a worker work on a condition that's called a zero energy state.
Okay.
That's the goal, and that's the new standards of stressing that and putting that out there.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Excellent.
We also want to address, and this is a key thing, the components of an effective safety program. Everybody says, "Well, I just need some paperwork." No, there's a lot of aspects that go into a safety program.
Right.
It's policies, it's procedures,
Right.
it's studies, and it's just like I said, a culture, and that's what we build on.
So it's not just something I can just download off the internet?
No, sir. No.
Okay.
And then the last thing that they're pushing is LOTO audits.
LOTO meaning?
Lockout, tagout audits, because we're noticing that one person might consider a zero energy state or a lockout condition might be different than a more experienced person's perspective of a lockout, tagout, zero energy state. So that's why the audits are in place to identify and set a standard to help the companies meet the new requirement, because a zero energy state is really the only thing that protects the worker from shock or electrocution.
Right. Excellent.
Yeah.
The class that you've put together, it's an 8-hour class?
It's an 8-hour class. We do a pre and post test. And the reason we do that, we want to gauge where the students are before the instruction, and then gauge where they are upon 8 hours of sitting in class. And mostly, and it has nothing to do with going to anybody's supervisor or anything. This is strictly for O'Dwyer Technical Services to gauge our effectiveness. So if we see the whole class getting number 13 wrong, I'm thinking it's not the class, it's probably the instructor. So we use that as a matrix to audit ourselves in the effectiveness of instruction to the students.
Tell us a little bit more about what someone could expect from one of your 8-hour courses.
8-hour class goes into the more in-depth of the incident energy, the calories per centimeter squared. We go into allowing the student to understand the information that's on an arc flash label, specifically the flash hazard boundary, the shock hazard boundary, as well as the restricted approach and limited approach that dictate worker distance from the point of energization. So from there, we build on that, and then we address proper switching procedures. Where do I stand when opening up a panel? Which do I measure first, phase to phase or phase to ground? How many points of test for a zero energy state on a 3-phase disconnect? These are the things that we build on. The more operational aspects that a qualified electrical worker is going to deal with on a daily basis.
Do you bring any kind of models or anything into the class?
We try to bring meters, motor control centered switch gear, PPE, the use of gloves. We demonstrate the proper use of gloves, ground cables, the use of grounding sticks. So we go into the operational perspective, not just the academic. We actually go into the hands-on portion, if you would.
Okay, excellent. So even though it's an in class training, you're still hands-on.
Oh, very much so, yes.
Now, obviously, you're not going to have every multimeter that everyone uses and so forth.
Correct.
But you're going to be able to explain to them and show them.
Oh, yes, guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Absolutely.
That's what we do.
We're going to have an open enrollment class with
Excellent.
you coming in and conducting it.
Sure.
We're excited, and we're excited for everyone else to participate. So
Very much look forward to it. I think the class will enjoy what they're learning, and we have fun in our class.
Yeah.
I guarantee it, we have fun.